And trusting your gut. Like we've become so disconnected with our intuition, and that is a superpower of women. And this again is science. You can look it up. The CIA even like uses this to their advantage. Like women are more tapped into it. It has to do with like our connection between like our corpus callosum, like that wiry thing that connects our hemispheres. That's quicker for women. So
Mm,
we're able to kind of like look at things like with a spidey sense and just like know that. And
no.
we obviously your gut has like a lot more serotonin and like neurochemicals than we thought before. So it's all connected, and like that's where your like
Shocking,
gut
right?
instinct comes from. But you have it, and
Yeah.
for some reason, like we have been kind of trained to tune that down, like
Why do
not
you think that
listen.
is?
Right. Like believe what you're feeling and like look into it. Like don't just like let people tell you that you're crazy. If you feel something, like dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what people forget is what's the easiest way to control? It's to make you stupid and
Mm,
make you not trust yourself. Like, let's stop pretending that there isn't a control thing going on here. There always is, and there always has been, and there always will be in the world.
mm-hmm,
So it's just like you need to understand that. And then you need to understand that it's your job to run your life, only yours.
mm-hmm.
And you are your own advocate and you can create change. So if you are somewhere that you don't like right now, you're the only one that can take those steps to fixing that. And regardless of who did it wrong, this doctor, that doctor, push them to the side. I don't care. I don't care where they went to school. I don't care what their credentials are. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean anything to me. If you can't figure out what my thing is, then we're just not the right match. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not discrediting you. I'm just saying bye
Mm-hmm.
because I know me.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived with me. You have lived with you.
Right. And you're allowed to say no. I
Yeah.
think you're allowed to fire doctors.
Oh, yeah.
People don't know that. You can fire a doctor. You know what
Very
doctors I've
easily.
fired? So many.
Yeah.
It's great. You should,
You
again,
try
try that.
it.
Try that. It's
Like, sorry, guys.
amazing.
Sometimes it's, I mean, in doctors, they're asked to do a lot. It's all
Hmm.
their job is almost impossible. And
Hmm.
so, but there are ones that you can find that truly care. You're not
Hmm.
just a number,
Right.
that they're pushing through so they can make a claim on your insurance. There
Hmm.
are ones that care. And when you find those, keep them.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, and whenever I find one, it makes me so happy. And I always write a review so that try to help other people find them too.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there are good ones out there. You just have to search.
Hmm. Yeah, so when it comes to, I guess, like transitioning into sovereignty and freedom and being unbridled, do you feel, because obviously you're an ambitious woman, right? Like you're not just like staying at home, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like you're not just staying at home and like being a housewife. Like you also have this amazing brand that you're building, and you're an entrepreneur. You're still obviously very soft and feminine at the same
Oh,
time.
thank
So how do you balance out, I guess, that interdependence with a relationship instead of being codependent with a relationship? So like how do you not lose yourself in a romantic relationship with someone else, and then how do you not also become so independent that there is not that overlap?
Yeah, I mean, girl, isn't that the question of the millennia? It's like, wow, I think it's much harder for relationships now than it ever has been before. And I think that that's something that you have to navigate with each person, right? And it's also, from my point of view, something that evolves and changes consistently. So if you're not willing to really take the time to look into your relationship and adjust for each other, it's not going to work. Don't get married. It's hard. It's like this is not an easy route. You're asking two people that are completely different, regardless of what, your values are and all of that, genetically completely different to say, hey, we're going to make this work. And so to me, it's definitely been an evolution with Charles. And I mean, after 12 years, we've gone through a lot of evolving, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably the number one thing I think is being able to give grace to each other
Mm-hmm.
and remember that, like, I want this person to be happy. That's what I care most about, whether it's happy with me or not, right? If you truly love someone, then you can say that. And I know I've had people be like, oh, you guys, this or that. And it's like, I really don't care what you think because I know that I truly love that man more than, I mean, I think that he showed me what true love was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not controlling someone, it's not having someone by your side. It's that I love you so much that I'm going to support you in what makes you happy and joyful, whether or not that works for me sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's willing to put the other person's joy and happiness above yours momentarily and not lose the fact that you still have to prioritize yours. So I think that ebbs and flows at times, right? Because you're both giving and taking.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that answered your question, but I think it's just being okay with understanding that it's not always 50-50. Sometimes I give 80, sometimes he gives 20, sometimes he gives 99 and I'm only able to give 1, right?
Mhm.
And we had a funny conversation the other day and I was just like, "Look, the PMS week, I cannot physically carry the emotional weight of our relationship. The other weeks of the month I'm stellar at it because he has very low EQ, very high IQ, and I have very high EQ. So it's easy for me usually to balance and manage that. But I have learned over time that that week I'm tired, right?
Mhm.
I need all of my energy to be focused on Alicia. So if our relationship needs support, I'm going to need you to do it then. And he was like, "Wow, you've never said it that way before, but I get it." I was
Mhm.
like, "Wow, just takes communication."
Mhm. That's kind of like the answer to everything when it comes
Yeah.
to relationship is communication.
Yeah.
And that I think the part that a lot of people miss out, including myself, is the active listening and not just like I know exactly what I'm going to say to prove my point, but the active listening and then offering a safe space for them to be honest and vulnerable and then problem solve. It's like, what is the goal of this conversation? Is it to end up together and to fix and heal what's what needs mending, or is it to prove a point and say that I was right, or to make you feel like shit, or
Yeah.
point out your flaws or your mistakes? So you kind of have to navigate it through that perspective.
That lens of we're a team. Like
Right.
for real, we're a team. So
Mhm.
it's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what gets the team to the end goal,
Mhm.
right? I
Yeah.
think that's a hard one, or at least it was for me to really believe that we were a team. And I'm
Mhm.
like, are we really? Or,
Mhm.
and so really truly accepting that and then being willing to say, you know what, I'm going to trust that we are because that's the commitment we made to each other until you show me something different.
Mhm.
So that's still leaving the space for you to let them prove what team means to them too, right? So we're
Mhm.
not saying just be abused. It's like, no, be cognizant of everything that's going on, but be a team player.